name is Chris from Burgersdorp in the Eastern Cape. I fly under the banner of Stormberg Hokke in the E22, the Noord-Oos-Kaap Postduif-Unie. I fly with my dad, Peter Koekemoer, and Joe Gomez. They are the breeders of our lofts down here in the Eastern Cape. My dad and Joe, they breed them up there in Joburg. And yeah, we send them down here for testing. And the birds that don't come down to fly here, they go to the one lofts. So yeah, my journey started 4 years ago. Joe sent the first pigeons down, and it was we started off okay. I think my first year as fancier, I still had a lot to learn. I got some guidance from Joe, but I think with any fancier, you need to sort of figure your own loft and figure out how your birds fly and that. And Joe gave me some guidance, but I had to find my own feet. So yeah, I started in 2000, 4 years ago. The first year we did well, and yeah, this is my 4th year going. We've had some good success in our union. All right, as you all know, in Africa Pro, we flew under Koekemoer and Gomez. We did very well there. We came 3rd in the final race, and we had the second ace bird there called Romeo. I think Africa Pro is a good illustration of how our birds fly, the way we fly them, and our whole breeding philosophy regarding flying birds every week. The bird that actually came 3rd in Africa Pro, the father was flown here in the E22, GPU 1875. The dad did very well for us here, and we stocked him after the season. So I think Africa Pro is going to grow. I think the way we fly birds and the way our whole union is structured, it's ideally built for a one loft like Africa Pro. The guys at Africa Pro are doing an amazing job, and I think it'll just go better and better. We're very proud of our achievements at Africa Pro for a first year. And you must also just remember that it was only we've been flying pigeons as a team, my dad and Joe and Stormberg Hokke, only for 4 years. I think for our 3rd year going, I think we did relatively good over there in Africa Pro. Our results at Stormberg Hokke or Stormberg Lofts. Our first year when we started off, we started off like a house on fire. We entered the E22 and said to the people in the E22 that we're going to fly our birds every weekend. There was a lot of disbelief in that because nobody has sort of done it. And at the first year we ended 6th out of 93 members, which I think is a good achievement for a first year flying in such a strong union. We had the best bird that year. It's a little pie den, E22 10678. She went back to the stock loft. She flew 18 races in a row. She scored all 18 races. She's back in the stock loft. Her babies are doing very well for us at the moment. In fact, I've got a couple of them flying this year. So that was our first year. Our second year, we came 4th. We got the second best bird in the union. One of my mates in Hannover, Arnu Viljoen, beat me to the first bird. But we got 4th our second year, and our 3rd year we actually won the union. We got the best. We were second in the old birds. We won the young birds. We had 18 out of 20 best birds in the union. We were the union champs. We were the federation champs. So I really think it's a testimony to our way of flying that in 3 years we could sort of with Joe's selection of pigeons and mating them up. Look, he's the artist in the end, and he mates them up. And with me flying them down here, we could see what birds don't mate well and which birds do work. I think that within 3 years, becoming E22, champs, I think that's a testimony to our whole team working together, and something's working. So I'm looking forward to this year already. It's my 4th year flying, so I've still got a lot to learn. I'm flying okay so far. I'm second in the union after 5 races. Got a couple of birds in the top 20. And yeah, but there's still a lot of racing to be done. Yeah, look, our bloodlines, I'm not involved in the breeding of the pigeons. So yeah, like I've said, Joe up in Joburg, he breeds the pigeons. I think in the end, our main purpose or our main goal is to create our own lines, the Stormberg Hokke Gomez lines. Like you've got all these lines of Kaasboer and this and that. Look, our philosophy is flying birds, and birds that fly well and continue flying well, we'll keep breeding with them. There's nothing wrong with following lines and inbreeding and using it for stock and that, but like I say, I don't do a lot of breeding down here. I fly the birds, and all I can say is our best birds that fly here, it doesn't matter from what line they are, they go up to stock. And we found that in the last couple of years that those are the birds that perform, those are the birds that breed well. So yeah, Joe, I mean, he mates them up there. He selects the right lines for them. So yeah, regarding lines, I don't think we follow certain lines. I think we're in the process of creating our own lines. Our philosophy, I think, and Joe in the previous interviews has also confirmed that I think at one loft races, the birds fly every weekend. You get a race a week. So you can't send a bird up. I mean, it costs so much money sending birds up to a one loft that you don't want to send a bird that is average. Obviously, people send their best birds to one lofts, because it's so expensive. And so our philosophy in sending birds, we want to send our best birds, and our best birds needs to be, they need to show us what they have done. I think in some of your previous episodes you spoke to much more senior fanciers than me, and I mean what we can get out of those videos are that use birds that have performed. I think that is the main thing. I think the secret in this whole story is there's a guy that bred the beef masters. His name is Tom Lasseter, I think. He's got a philosophy where he says breeding cattle and breeding sheep, and we can take that into pigeon flying, needs to be a simple thing. But he also says that the biggest problem in the whole thing in saying to keep it simple is keeping it simple. I think people overcomplicate it. I think, and we try and not overcomplicate it. If we have a bad weekend, we don't grab bottles and medicine and try and give muti and stuff, So if we have a bad weekend, it can only be on me as the fancier, or the pigeon is not good enough. So regarding one lofts, those pigeons, when they go to one lofts, they can't get sick. You're paying lots of money for a pigeon to go to a one loft, and in the end, after you've paid all the money, the pigeon gets sick, or the pigeon underperforms. You want to send your best pigeons to a one loft, and it needs to be proven pigeons out of proven hens and cocks, and pairs. So the only way you can do that is to fly the pigeons. Don't get me wrong, I know people breed for stock and that, but I see all these WhatsApp groups where people buy pigeons online and it's bred for stock, and people pay big money for pigeons, and I sometimes think, I might be wrong, but sometimes they pay too much for pigeons. But our philosophy is use proven pairs and cocks and hens, and send them off to one lofts. Yeah, look, again, like I said, our training and flying strategy, I think when I started flying birds 4 years ago, I was still new, and I wanted to toss, a bird every day and take them to fly, because I enjoy flying pigeons. And it's always nice to see the pigeons come in, and and to see them like trapping and that, it's always a good feeling, And so the first couple of years, I think I overflew the birds. I mean, you can't fly every weekend and get tossed every day and fly 90 kilometers every day. And so I had to go through my own journey and finding out what works best for our union. Our union is much different than up in Joburg, down in the Cape, in Kuruman and that. Our union it's not the same. I had to figure out, and Joe sort of guided me in a direction, but I had to figure out how to train these birds. So in short, my training strategy has changed upside down from how I started and how I'm flying now. I try and get the pigeons from Joe up in Joburg and my father. They send it down to me. I keep the pigeons in the loft for probably 2 months. Then I just have an open loft. And I only start tossing the birds after they've been in my loft for 5 months. I believe in the principle of flying birds hard, but also I also believe that you got to give each bird a fair chance, So give it a fair chance. I mean, after 5 months, it should have homed, flying around the loft. I mean, a week before I do my first toss, I get them fit around the loft, and then I start off with 20 kilometers, and then after that we go 100 plus. I try to get my fellow fanciers from our club so that we can toss together, to get my birds to break quickly, because our union, again, our birds need to break quite quick. So yeah, and feeding strategy, look, we only fly on peanuts, that's no secret. A peanut is a difficult food to fly on. If you don't fly your birds a lot, they get too fat. So even though it's got lots of energy and all the vitamins and everything it needs, like I've said, we don't give any medicine, we don't give vitamins. I give grit and peanuts and water. I sometimes throw a bit of jig over the peanuts in the water, and then just to get the alpha toxins out of the peanut, and then I throw the water off and I feed it like that. So again, like I've said earlier, keeping it simple. I think that's our secret here, and people don't always want to believe it's that simple, and people always say that we're doing something else. In the pigeon sport, what I've learned is every guy's got his own secret that he'll never tell anyone. But I'm an open book. We've got a new guy that started from Multino, Dries Pinaar. I've given him everything. I've told him everything I do, and he's flying well. He's only got 14 pigeons, and he's flying against oaks that have got 180 pigeons. And he's 12th in the union. So yeah, there's no secret to it. I think that like I say again, people overcomplicate the story. Pigeons must fly. That's their work. They mustn't be homers. They must be racing pigeons. And I think a lot of people keep homing pigeons, and it's always nice when a pigeon comes back. But if it doesn't score or it doesn't race well, now you want to send it to a one loft. That can never work. So yeah, feeding. That's it. It's peanuts and water and grit. That's what we fly on. And like I say, the peanuts off. You need to fly your birds every weekend. In closing, like I said, we fly under Kukamur and Gomez. We've got birds at Africa Pro this year. Looking forward to it this year on all the one lofts. And again, our lofts down here, Stormberg Hokke. Like I've explained to you guys now, our whole breeding philosophy and how we fly the pigeons and the no medicine philosophy. I think that we want to see ourselves, we want to place ourselves in the next 5-6 years where we can sell you a bird, or we can, we can sell you a bird with confidence and say, this is the record of the bird, this is how it flew, it didn't get sick, it flew well, and somebody that, if you want to buy the bird, or, if you want to use the birds, you got to have the confidence to say, like, this bird has gone through a 6-year selection process, and it's a very strict Joe, everybody that knows Joe, he's very strict on a bird. He doesn't take average birds. And if you can change your mindset to average is not good enough. The days of keeping birds where it's a bird that it won a union once in its life 10 years ago, but you keep on breeding for that same success. I think those days are gone. The pigeon sport being expensive, you got to have supreme birds. You got to have excellent birds, and you got to strive for that. You can't keep passengers in your loft. It costs too much money. So we want to be in a situation where our brand develops, and we can, in a couple of years, try and sell birds or try and perform at one lofts where people at a one loft can buy the birds and know the bird has been through a hell of a process in getting here, and with confidence use that bird in breeding in any of your birds.